You finally figured out what your research topic is going to be. Now it's time to find your sources. As you scan the library for what you're going to use for your paper, you find something that looks like it could help. However, as you scan through the book, you realize that none of the information is relevant to your research topic. How are you able to determine what resources are good or bad for your research? Introducing Evaluating Sources.
We often feel an information overload from social media to podcasts and scrolling on the internet. Then we go to a database and do some research, and we can feel overwhelmed by the number of sources that populate the search results page. So how do we know what to believe or what source is a good source? Some things are truly just false, and we won't want to use them for research. But for the most part, the answer is it just depends. Not really what you want to hear, right? So let's take a look at some things we can consider when evaluating information. First, different assignments have different information needs. Your professors may give you specific requirements for the types of articles you can use. In this case, you should use your professor's guidelines as part of your evaluation process. Other times, you will need to think about why you're gathering the information. For personal use, you may not need a peer-reviewed source, but you'll probably will if you're doing a class assignment. Don't forget, peer-reviewed sources are those articles written by experts in a field and then reviewed by other experts in the field before being published as a journal article. So, understand your assignment or your research needs and who your intended audience is. Second, we want to think about our own biases and the biases of the authors. As humans, we tend to gravitate towards research that supports what we already believe. Or you might write a paper, then try to find sources that fit as a specific citation, which isn't how we really want to do our research. Our articles should guide our writing, not be cherry-picked to support what we already believe. We also want balanced information, and when possible, we should find articles with different perspectives. When you find an article, you'll want to see what the stated biases or conflicts of interest the authors mention. This is in most of our research articles. In a newspaper article, you'll want to pay attention to the newspaper's political leanings and use news stories from more than one newspaper on both sides of the aisle. Third, we can look at the authority of the author. Not only do we want to consider the author's biases, we also want to consider their knowledge and expertise. We want to find information about the authors when we can. We can ask ourselves, where do they work? What's their job? What is their area of research interest? We might also look into the journal where the article was published. Different journals focus on different topics and publish different types of articles. You can find out about a journal by Googling the title and visiting the About the Journal page on the journal's website. Other things we might want to consider are the publication dates, whether the article was peer-reviewed, and the scope of the article. This is where your specific assignment will play a big role in whether the source is a good fit or not. Some topics will require recent research, while others won't. Some assignments require peer-reviewed articles, where others don't. And the same with scope. You may need a very specific, narrow article, or you may need a broader article that provides background information. Research is a process, from creating a research question to using the question for generating search terms to finding the articles you want to use. It can be trial and error. You may have to try multiple searches or start reading an article only to realize it isn't as helpful as you thought it would be. This is where librarians can help. In a research coach appointment, a librarian can answer your research questions and help you evaluate your sources. Schedule a research coach appointment today.